guys, we're waiting for history. History is about to be made. That's all I'm gonna say. I cannot wait to see the exchange between President Trump and UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer. We are at a huge crossroads in the world, not just the United States, where I'm from, but the entire world is watching. I feel super, super emotional right now. Do you too? Hi, Sandy. Glad you're here. Glad you're here, girl, because I feel like what we're about to see, it's history in the making, right in front of us. All because of President Trump. And I am MAGA. I'm strapped in MAGA all the way. Hi, Donna. Oh my gosh. It could happen. Like now, could take them 20 minutes to come out. Who knows? Hi, LaDonna. Anyway, I'm so glad that my besties are in the room. Happy to see you guys. The hateful people are gonna come out. The trolls are gonna bombard, probably as soon as President Trump's face is on. Hi, Laura. But that's okay. That's okay. I've been thinking so hard. We have to change the hearts and the minds of these young people who, for the past 4 years, some of them were so misled and so, okay, and I'm gonna say this one, and this might not be very popular, but it's true. They're on drugs. They're on all sorts of drugs. And I'm not talking about just the illicit drugs and the and the vapes with all the vape juice in it. Who knows what's in that? But Laura. But the fact of the matter is, the ones that are changing their gender are on something called Lupron. Look it up, because it's horrifying. And they will tie Maureen, and they get very dark thoughts from being on this drug. There are also the, oh, here they are. Okay, guys, sorry, let's go.
Mr. President, it's a pleasure to welcome you to Chequers. This historic second state visit is a moment to celebrate the unique bond between our two countries. But today we've gone far beyond that. We've renewed the special relationship for a new era. The United Kingdom and the United States stand together today as first partners on defence, first partners in trade, with a groundbreaking deal we struck in May, and now with the new agreement that we've just signed this afternoon. We're confirming our status as the first partners in science and technology, ready to define this century together, just as we did the last. This tech partnership has the power to change lives. It's our chance to ensure that technologies like AI, quantum, and others amplify human potential, solve problems, cure diseases, make us richer and freer.
I'm concerned.
Strengthen the cause of democracy.
I'm so concerned.
Tyranny. This is the territory for which the future will be won. So this partnership is a signal of our determination to win this race together and to ensure it brings real benefits in jobs, in growth, in lower bills, to put more hard-earned cash in people's pockets at the end of each month. That's what we're determined to deliver. And we're bringing businesses with us. We've just come from a fantastic meeting with business leaders where we set out this vision. They have responded with new deals and investment, breaking every record that we have.
All right, I gotta stop this now because wow. So this is about technology. Okay. AI. Do you use AI? Because I've been using AI. I try it out, and here's the thing I found. You can't trust it at all. You can't use it to fact check anything at all. Never, never use it for that. You can use it to feed it information that it will regurgitate back to you, and then you can edit the information that you get back from it, and you can work with it like that. That's fine. But talking about AI and like that's the future, that's called transhumanism. And I don't want to be a transhuman. I didn't take anything in my arm. I don't even go to the doctors anymore. You know why? Because I don't trust them. I don't trust the doctors. I'm going to say it. I'm sorry to all of my friends and family members who are in the medical industry. And I'm not talking about you. I know that if you really think it's wrong, you won't do it. I hope so anyway. But so one of my dearest friends was telling me about this drug called Lupron and how it is devastating to your mind. It makes you think dark thoughts. And then I looked it up. And you can look it up too, and please, please, please look it up, especially if you're taking it. And if you're taking it, tell us, do you have dark thoughts? Do you feel depressed? Because I've noticed in my lifetime that the doctors, instead of actually treating disease or even common cold, anything, they always turn to medicine. Medicine that's made by a company. Yeah, you know, I don't know if you're really sad for boomers because then you laugh your ass off. I don't know what that means, but I'm not a boomer, by the way. I'm one of the first Gen Xers, so yes, definitely. Yeah, incoming dingbats. Like, seriously, think about it. These are your parents, your grandparents. We have been horribly, horribly abused by the medical industry. And the older we get, the more meds they try to put us on. And I am blessed. And not just blessed, but also I spent 10 years in Europe. And I didn't let myself eat a lot of the food that Americans do because I realized that it was poison. Thanks, Alpha Kevin. We are the greatest generation, and we Gen Xers, and also the boomers too, who are very close to me. You know, I'm only 1 year removed from boomers. I'm one of the first Gen Xers. I was born in 1965, so I'm looking at my 60th year of life, and I'm horrified. I'm horrified. And I want it to be better. I want it to be better for you guys, you young people. You guys who come into my show and you look at me and you see my gray hair and you see my wrinkles and you call me granny thinking it's a put down. I want to be your granny. I want to be your MAGA mama. I want you to understand that I want the best for you. I'm not here to hate you. I don't hate you. But you need to stop taking all these drugs. I know a friend of mine, her daughter at the age of 15 had her teeth out, and this was a good 20 years ago, had her wisdom teeth out, and she became addicted to the pain medication that they gave her afterwards. Just like that. And that led to a lifetime of addiction. A lifetime of addiction, Gigi. Yeah. I don't know what you're angry about. You're probably triggered by the hat, but I'm just telling you the truth. If you continue to take the drugs they give you, even though they give them to you, I know you think it's a doctor and you can trust them, but you can't. We never could. Don't take the drugs that they give you. Don't do the medical procedures that they tell you to do. Don't do any of it. And you can call me a whatever denier, vax, or whatever, anti anything. Yeah, I am right now. I'm sickened by the fact that it is drugs that have destroyed America. This is what I'm coming to think. It's not so much the doctrine and the hatred that we get every time we turn a television on. I think young people aren't really watching television anymore. And I think they're getting their information from other sources that could be good or bad. But I think when they are also exposed to certain kinds of pharmaceutical medications that warp their minds, that's where the problem begins. When you're taking something that even people my age, and they take drugs that are for depression. And the side effect for the depression drug is that it could cause you to want to kill yourself. So why would you take that? You know what? You know what's good for depression? Exercise. You know what's good for feeling badly about yourself? Go out and help somebody else. Volunteer. Volunteer your time. Go to a nursing home and just talk to the old people. Have you ever done that? It's amazing. Do you have a nice little dog that's super sweet and you could take to the nursing home with you? That's my greatest wish, is that someday when I'm very old, that somebody will bring me a little dog when I'm decapacitated. I don't want to say that wrong. No, but you know what I mean. There are people out there and all they want is some kindness. Can you do that? It would make you feel so good. Mistake says, most Americans have been under the influence of drugs since the 15th century, and schools told you about the founding fathers. Okay, well, I don't think that we were Americans in the 15th century. There was no such thing as the United States of America. But the drug culture has exploded. It hasn't been constant. It just started to happen in the past 20, 30 years. I watched it. So, and I know people are so triggered by my hat. I'm sorry. I wear it because this is how I feel. I want to make America great again. And if you immediately dismiss anything I say simply because of my hat, you're part of the problem. I want to influence you younger kids, you guys who in your teens who are watching all of this and wondering, what does the future hold for you? Well, I'm so sorry that I have to show you President Trump, Keir Starmer, embracing a future of robots, because that's what I see. So I really want to make America great again. I don't want to make America machine. I don't like it. I don't agree with any of this. So I'm just going to put that out there so you know. And you can say whatever you want about me, but you are not my judge. And you can't tell me what to do because you're also not my dog. No, really, the only one who judges me is the Lord above. And that's the only one who should judge you too. Use your own mind. Think deep thoughts, like really deep thoughts, like how you want your future to look. Think about it. All right, I'm gonna turn the camera around, and oh right, my speaker wasn't working well, so I'm gonna use this other one instead.
Ready for connection.
Ready for connection. Okay, turn this one off. So that's the other thing with me, I'm old school.
Bluetooth connection.
I just jerry rig everything. The Beach Report has been on Facebook for the past 10 years. I'm kind of new to YouTube. This is actually my first full year of being on YouTube. And I like it a lot. I really, really enjoy YouTube. I really hate Facebook. But I can never leave Facebook because that's where a lot of my audience is. And I've been inviting them over to YouTube. And if you are from Facebook and you know who you are, I love you guys so much. Okay, anyhow, I am going to see if this speaker works out for us. Yeah.
Pounds
Sounds
flowing
good.
both ways across the Atlantic. That is a record.
Okay.
Expected to create 15,000 jobs here in the United Kingdom. High-skilled jobs in cutting-edge sectors where people can build careers for the long term, changing lives in communities up and down our country. And look, while we shape this bond for a new era, the fundamentals have not changed. Security remains the cornerstone of this special relationship. We have the deepest, most advanced defence relationship in the world. Our warriors train together and they fight together. Our industries build together. Everything from fast jets to the new AUKUS-class submarines. So now, as we drive up defence spending, we're going to sweep away the barriers to working together on new defence technologies so we can stay ahead of our adversaries. We're united in defence and security, yes, absolutely. But we're also united in the pursuit of peace. We are working together to end the humanitarian catastrophe in the Middle East, get the aid in, free the hostages, and ultimately bring Israel and the region back towards a comprehensive plan which can deliver peace and security for Israelis and Palestinians alike. We're also working together to end the killing in Ukraine. In recent days, Putin has shown his true face, mounting the biggest attack since the invasion began, with yet more bloodshed, yet more innocents killed, and unprecedented violations of NATO airspace. These are not the actions of someone who wants peace. So we've discussed today how we can build our defences further, support Ukraine, and decisively increase the pressure on Putin to get him to agree a peace deal that will last. And President Trump, you have led the way, and we will continue to stand and work together for security and for peace. Mr. President, next year we'll celebrate the 250th anniversary of the United States. We've come on a long journey together since 1776. But it's no exaggeration to say that the partnership our two nations have built has shaped the world from the beaches of Normandy to the founding of NATO, to the creation of technologies that have revolutionized our lives. Time and time again, it is British and American men and women side by side, changing the path of history and turning it towards our values, towards freedom, democracy, and the rule of law. In Britain, we take huge pride in that. And let's be clear, this relationship is not just about history, it's about the future. It's about the benefits it delivers now and for decades to come, to make our people safer and better off. We've shown today that we're delivering those benefits, improving people's lives. So we will go into that anniversary year more optimistic than ever and more confident than ever about our two great nations and what they can achieve side by side. Thank you. And it is now my pleasure to give the floor to Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Prime Minister Starmer, Melania and I are tremendously thankful for the wonderful hospitality that you and Lady Starmer have extended today at Chequers. Quite the place, I must say, quite the place. And we're grateful beyond words for the spectacular honor of the state visit yesterday at Windsor Castle, hosted by His Majesty King Charles III and Her Majesty Queen Camilla. These are two fantastic people. We will never forget it. As I said last night, the bond between our countries is like no other anywhere in the world. The United States and the United Kingdom have done more good on this planet than any two nations in human history. That is thanks in large part to the traditions of British liberty, which grew up on these isles, these beautiful, magnificent isles, and were carried by our ancestors to the New World. We're forever joined, and we are forever friends, and we will always be friends. This enduring connection is why I was thrilled that the United Kingdom was the very first country with which we made a historic trade deal, and a very good trade deal. He's a tough negotiator. I think it was a better deal for you than us, but he's a very good deal for us. He's a great negotiator who will extend our unparalleled security alliance into the realm of economic security for the first time, and I look forward to finalizing it very soon. We'll have it done very quickly. We've also just signed a historic technology prosperity deal, one of a kind, to ensure our countries lead the next great technological revolution side by side. In fact, we just left the business leaders, the biggest in the world. Some are in this room right now. And that was quite a meeting we had on business and trade and technology. This trip has galvanized $350 billion in deals across many sectors, and we're committed to ensuring that the UK has a secure and reliable supply of the best AI hardware and software on Earth. And we supply that, and we'll make sure we supply it in quantity to the UK. We also are joining forces on quantum computing and nuclear power, a natural partnership for close allies. The United States, as you probably have heard, is doing better than it has ever done in terms of business and investment. The stock market has hit a new high, as you know, and that's for many, many days out of our fairly short 8 months. And we seem to be hitting new highs, and I think we're going to do much better even as time goes by. Jobs are at a record, and most importantly, we have more than $17 trillion. $17 trillion, and this is during an 8-month period being invested in the country, which is not only a record, but if you compare $17 trillion to the last year of the Biden administration, they did $250 billion. They didn't do $1 trillion for the 4-year period. We did $17 trillion of investment coming in. A lot of it's because of tariffs, and a lot of it's for a lot of other reasons, but there's never been anything like it. It's an economic superstar. That's what it's become. It's mismanaged and badly handled for a long period of time, but it's not badly handled anymore. So that's a record, and remember, that's up until 8 months. We have another few months to go, and that number's going to get significantly higher, especially if we win a certain case that we're waiting to hear. That will be something like the world has never seen. I want to congratulate the United Kingdom on making the vital commitment to spend 5% of GDP on defense at the NATO summit this year. We've worked together very closely in so many ways. I'm very honored to tell you that we've solved 7 wars, wars that were unsolvable, wars that couldn't be negotiated or done. The U.S. has done 7 of them. The one that I thought would be easiest would be because of my relationship with President Putin, but he's let me down. He's really let me down. It was going to be Russia and Ukraine, but we'll see how that turns out. But that turned out to be, I thought it might be among the easiest of the group, but we had settled just about every conflict, and as you know, we're working very hard on Israel and Gaza. All that's happening over there, complex, but it's going to get done. It'll all get done right, and likewise Russia and Ukraine will get done. But you never know in war. You know, war is a different thing. Things happen that are very opposite of what you thought. You thought you were going to have an easy time or a hard time, and it turns out to be the reverse. As we saw in the unforgettable parade yesterday at Windsor Castle, what a place it is. The British Armed Forces carry on one of the finest military traditions in the world, one of the greatest marching bands, one of the most magnificent sights I've seen. I know that our service members look forward, and we do look so forward to working even more closely with yours as you push toward that 5% goal. And I think, Mr. Prime Minister, you're just about there. You're going to be there very quickly, along with a lot of other great countries. I want to thank NATO and our wonderful head of NATO, who's really worked very hard, Mark, for the job they've done. As you know, NATO was at 2% GDP, and they didn't pay it. Now they're at 5%, then they pay it. And we appreciate that. And we're sending a lot of weapons to NATO. NATO is paying for those weapons in full. But we're sending them, and we're doing a great job at getting them what they need. And we appreciate the fact that they're taking care of it, because the United States is into that war for $350 billion. And just really very sad. Just got out of control. They didn't know what they were doing. But over the generations, British and American warriors have shed their blood side by side in defense of liberty and freedom. And that's why it's so imperative that the United States and the United Kingdom stand together for these fundamental rights and values of the English-speaking world. And we've always stood together, and we will continue to. Just last week, a great American, Charlie Kirk, was heinously assassinated for speaking his mind. He was a great young man. Incredible future. Some people said he might be president someday. I told him, I said, Charlie, I think you have a good shot someday at being president. And he just wanted to take care of youth. He loved youth. I've never seen anybody relate to youth like Charlie, and they related to him, and they're devastated. But I appreciate the many British citizens who have offered their condolences. And again, Charlie was a great person. We'll be going out to a service on Sunday. I'll be leaving with some of the people in this room just to celebrate Charlie and all that he's done. So incredible. Never seen anything like it. But I hope that together our nations can lead a movement to defend the glorious traditions of freedom on both sides of the Atlantic. There could be no greater tribute to the immortal bonds of affection and loyalty that unite the British and the American people for all of time. We have a relationship like no other. It will always be that way. We will always be united. We'll always be together. And I just want to thank you, Mr. Prime Minister, for the great job I think you're doing. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. We're going to take some questions. I'll call 2 or 3 to start with, and then I'll pass over to the President. I've got Chris Mason from the BBC first. Chris.
Thank you both. Chris Mason, BBC News. Mr. President, the UK is expected to recognise a Palestinian state in the coming days as the killing in Gaza continues. It often seems that you're the only person that Israel will listen to. What more can you say to them to tell them to stop? And why is the UK's position on a Palestinian state, in your view, wrong? And Prime Minister, what will the recognition of a Palestinian state actually achieve? Is it not just gesture politics to appease people in your own party? Thank you both.
Well, Chris, let me just start with that, because we discussed this amongst other things. We had the best part of an hour, I think, upstairs earlier today, just one-to-one, going through a number of affairs, world affairs, in private. And we absolutely agree on the need for peace and a roadmap, because the situation in Gaza is intolerable. The hostages have been held for a very, very long time, and they must be freed. And we need aid to get into Gaza at speed. And so it's within that context of a plan for peace, which we're working hard on, which not only did we discuss this morning, but our 2 teams have been working together on. The question of recognition needs to be seen. And so it's part of that overall package which hopefully takes us from the appalling situation we're in now to the outcome of a safe and secure Israel, which we do not have, and a viable Palestinian state. Thank you.
Well, simply, I want the hostages released now, right now. Not 1, 2, we'll give you 3 more tomorrow. You know, but we're the ones that got all the hostages released. We got many that came, many came to the Oval Office, and I've heard stories like I've never thought even possible. There was no humanity, no anything. I said to them, I said, was there any warmth shown during this stay? Like they offered you a little extra meal, they gave you a little smile, and they said, don't worry, you'll be okay. And every one of them said, not even a little bit. Amazing, you know, to think that during the stay, long stay in some cases. We had a man the other day, 451 days he was there. I always ask that question. And was there any warmth shown? Just a little word of, encouragement. And the answer is every time, absolutely not. I'm shocked to hear it, because in the worst cases, there's always somebody that comes through. We have to remember October 7th, one of the worst, most violent days in the history of the world, not just there, in the history of the world. And I got to see the tapes, and I wish I didn't see them, actually, but I got to see them. And I want an end. I want the hostages released. And I think it's going to be okay, but it has been a brutal period of time. But this has been going on for a long time. This is not something that's over the last year, 2 years, but this has been for decades and decades. But we want it to end. We have to have the hostages back immediately. That's what the people of Israel want. They want them back, and we want the fighting to stop, and it's going to stop. But a lot of bad things. Hamas said that they're going to put the hostages up as bait. They're going to put the hostages in front of any attack. And that's pretty brutal. We haven't heard that one in a long time. So we have to remember that. So I have a disagreement with the Prime Minister on that score. Okay? One of our few disagreements, actually.
Great. Can I take Jack from The Sun? Jack.
Thank you both. Jack Elson from The Sun. Mr. President, in the 9 months you've been in office, you've been incredibly successful in all but eliminating crossings on your southern border.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, illegal migration is at record levels in Britain. The Prime Minister is trying to tackle that. What advice would you give to the man standing next to you on trying to stop illegal migration in Britain? And Prime Minister, if I can just ask, the President is all about drill, baby, drill in terms of trying to secure American energy and cut bills for Americans. Meanwhile, you are turning Britain's back on oil and gas in favour of renewable energies, such as wind turbines. Why do you think that you are right and he is wrong?
So we had millions of people flowing in, totally unchecked, totally unvetted from the Biden administration. 25 million, in my opinion, that would be about 25 million. They came from prisons, they came from mental institutions, they were gang members, they were drug dealers. They came from the Congo. They came from all parts of South America. They came from everywhere. Think of it. Prisons from the Congo being released into the United States. Prisons opened up in Venezuela and many other countries pouring into the United States. And I couldn't believe it. One of the reasons I decided to run. I decided to run because I don't want to be controversial. But you see what's happened, and you see all the information that's come out. We won in 2020 big. And I said, let's run. We got to run, because I saw what was happening. And the worst thing that I saw was all of these people. We've already solved inflation. We've solved prices. Oil is way down. Energy is way down in the United States. But what I saw happening with millions of people pouring into our country, I couldn't stand to watch it. And we've done a great job. Nobody, if you've seen the last, I appreciate your question, by the way, nobody, absolutely zero, and I'm not even sure that's possible, but it's a very liberal group that come out with those statistics. The last 3 months, we had zero. From millions of people a year ago, we had zero people enter our country illegally. And we do have people coming in legally through a legal process and testing and lots of other things. I think it's very important, and we speak about it, and I think your situation is very similar. You have people coming in, and I told the Prime Minister I would stop it, and it doesn't matter if you call out the military, it doesn't matter what means you use, but it's going to destroys countries from within. And we're actually now removing a lot of the people that came into our country. It's a very hard chore. We were given a very, very bad hand. Millions of people came in from prisons and mental institutions. We have to remove them. And we are removing them. We have no choice. And I feel very strongly about it. Thank you very much.
Jack, let me just deal with the question of returns, because this is obviously an issue we're taking incredibly seriously. We've struck a number of deals both on cooperation with other countries, because this is a problem right across Europe, to tackle the problem of actually breaking up the gangs that are running this trade. We have had a record number of returns, over 35,000 now since we came into office. That's the highest number for the best part of 10 years. We struck the returns arrangement with France, and Notwithstanding the challenges to that scheme, which you've seen in the last few days, a flight went off at 6:15 this morning, successfully returning someone under that scheme. So that is an important step forward. Obviously, there's no silver bullet here. There's a range of things that need to be done. But given the challenges of returning people, it is important that we're able to prove it can be done. It was done. It was done early this morning. So I can confirm that that flight went. It went successfully. And I'm pleased about that. Now we need to ramp that up at scale, which was always envisaged under the scheme. But it's very important that we have been able to prove that the proof of concept, if you like, that this can be done and will continue in that way. On the question of energy, firstly, let me be really clear that I am absolutely determined to ensure that the price and cost of energy comes down, so that bills come down both for individuals, for families, with their household bills, but also for business, because this is so important. The mix will include oil and gas for many years to come from the North Sea. We've been clear about that for some time, but we also need to mix that with renewables, and it's the mix that's really important. And the approach I've taken on this is the same approach that I take to many other things, a pragmatic approach. Thank you, Jack.
I would like to say that we inherited the worst inflation in the history of our country. We had inflation, the likes of which we've really never seen. They say 48 years, and I'll accept that, but I really don't. We had the worst inflation in the history of our country. And we had a expression that I used a lot, drill, baby, drill. And as you know, we brought fuel way down, the prices way down. And we don't do wind because wind is a disaster. It's a very expensive joke, frankly. And we got our energy prices way down. That brought the inflation way down. And now we have very little inflation. And we have a very, very strong economy. So that was very important. Drill, baby, drill. And you have a great asset here. We spoke about it. It's called the North Sea. The North Sea oil is phenomenal. And I hope, because I love this country, you know. My mother was born in Scotland. And the Hebrides, Stornoway, that's Syria, Scotland. We were talking about it. And I want this country to do well. And you have great assets that you're going to start using, I believe, under this Prime Minister.
Thank you. And I've got Matthew from The Economist. Matthew.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Mr. President, you say that President Putin has let you down. Have negotiations run out of road, and what are your next steps to compel an end to this war?
Well, he has let me down. I mean, he's killing many people, and he's losing more people than he's killing. I mean, frankly, the Russian soldiers are being killed at a higher rate than the Ukrainian soldiers. But, yeah, he said, let me down. I don't like to see. It's death. You know, it doesn't affect the United States. We have, other than unless you end up in a world war over this thing, you could. This was a thing that would have never happened had I been president. If I were president, it would have never happened. And it didn't happen for 4 years. Most people agree it didn't happen, nor was it close to happening. And I spoke to President Putin about Ukraine. It was the apple of his eye. I've said that many times. It was. But he would have never done what he did, except that he didn't respect the leadership of the United States. They just went through the Afghanistan total disaster for no reason whatsoever. We're going to leave Afghanistan, but we're going to leave it with strength and dignity. We're going to keep Bagram, the big air base, one of the biggest air bases in the world. We gave it to them for nothing. We're trying to get it back, by the way. Okay, that could be a little breaking news. We're trying to get it back because they need things from us. We want that base back. But one of the reasons we want the base is, as you know, it's an hour away from where China makes its nuclear weapons. So a lot of things are happening, but I am very disappointed in the fact that that one's not settled. To think that we settled Azerbaijan and Albania as an example. It was going on for years. It was never going to be settled. If you remember, the Prime Minister and the presidents, they were there for many years. They said, when they were in my office, we settled. And they started off at both sides of the Oval Office, so far away. I didn't know you could be so far away. And as we were together for an hour, they kept getting closer, closer. And by the time we finished, we all hugged each other. And one said, I've been in this position for 22 years, and all I've done is kill their people. The other was there for 7 years, and all he did was kill their people. And we got it settled. And we did others, as you know. the Congo, we settled the Congo with Rwanda. That was going on, and that was a machete war. That was a gruesome war. Many people, close to 10 million people killed. We got that. So my biggest disappointment, but it's, you know, look, we did 7, and most of them were not thought to be settleable. We did India and we did Pakistan. That's 2 nuclear. That was purely for trade. You want to trade with us, you're going to have to get along. And they were going at it hot and heavy. But the Russia situation, I hope we're going to have some good news for you coming up. But again, it doesn't affect the United States. And look, it doesn't so much affect you. Of course, you are a lot closer to the scene than we are. We have a whole ocean separating us. But I will say this, it's millions of people have died in that war, millions of souls. And they're not American. The soldiers, mostly soldiers, as you know. The soldiers are being killed at levels nobody's seen since the Second World War. But they're being killed, and I feel I have an obligation to get it settled for that reason. Thank you.
And just to add on that question, because we have to put extra pressure on Putin. And it's only when the president has put pressure on Putin that he's actually shown any inclination to move. So we have to ramp that pressure up. I think it's important to have this conversation in the context of what's happened in recent weeks. We saw damage and bombing to the British Council in Kyiv. These are targets that it was thought until recently were not targets that would be hit. The British Council, the European Union Embassy, the Council of Ministers, where President Zelensky's ministers work was hit. Again, these were thought to be places that wouldn't be hit. And then the incursion into Poland last week. And if you put that together, what you can see is either an emboldenment or at least an increased recklessness on Putin's part. And that's why I said earlier that they're not the actions of someone who wants peace. So we have to ramp up. And we discussed earlier today, we have built the coalition of the willing with British leadership and French leadership, stepping up with military planning in the seas, in the sky, on the ground, and ramping up what we do with the Ukrainians themselves. And of course, that, taken with an American guarantee, is now an example, I think, of the challenge of Europe stepping up to the plate, which it has done in the last few months, to show through what we and the French have done that we're prepared to take the lead in this and take the necessary measures.
But that's a war that could have been a Third World War, and I don't think we're going to be there now. But that was heading to a Third World War, and what a shame it is. What a shame it is.
Mr. President, do you want to call some of the...
I would love to call a few of them. Bev, do you want to have a question?
Okay.
TV News. Thank you. Having been in DC for a few weeks, it's really interesting to see how you run the country as a proud Christian leader. And it really begs the question to the Prime Minister, if you don't mind, are we still a Christian country? But also...
when you say we, are you talking here or...?
Here. The
Here?
UK. I'm still British. I might
I'd
live in
rather
America,
have
I'm
him
still
answer
British.
that question.
But also...
I can't give you that answer.
That's for the Prime Minister. But also, despite what we talked about in Scotland a few weeks ago, we still have 12,000 people a year here being arrested for social media posts, for free speech violations. Does that not remain an important area that there is still a lot of disagreement on?
I'd like to have you answer that.
Yeah, look, I mean, in terms of a Christian country, I was Christian, so that is, my church has been all my life, and we are, that is wired into our informal constitution. Of course, we celebrate many other faiths as well, and I'm really proud that we're able to do so as a country. And on free speech, that has long lived in this country. Free speech, it's one of the founding values of the United Kingdom, and we protect it jealously and fiercely, and always will, and we will bear down on any limits on free speech. I draw a limit between free speech and the speech of those that want to peddle paedophilia and suicide social media to children, and therefore I'm all for free speech. I'm also for protecting children from things that will harm them, paedophiles.
I don't believe
those that
you,
peddle
Keir Starmer.
Suicide, which had a terrible consequence
for individual, particularly teenagers.
I don't.
And so
Oh my
that's
God.
the
Oh
balance
my
we
God.
strike.
Okay. I have to stop this here because we have to talk about Asian grooming gangs, which really weren't Asian. They were actually Middle Eastern. Anyway, this is amazing that Keir Starmer is talking about this because for the past 20, maybe 30 years, the young women and even some boys, I don't know how many boys, but I know a lot of young girls in England, English girls have been horribly abused. I've been following this story for the past 2 decades, and that he's talking about this right now is blowing my mind. Finally. Because if you go against anybody who isn't English and is committing these crimes against young women, you will not be, or they never get held accountable. So I just got to say, yeah, I want to hear this, okay? So I'm going to rewind it a little bit if I can without messing it up, because we need to all hear this and pay very close attention, okay? As a MAGA mama, I can't stand the thought of children, anybody being abused, but the things that they've been doing to the young English girls is horrific, just horrific. Okay, back to the show. If indeed it is a show, you know what I mean. Okay, guys. Go back just a little bit. Okay.
Many people, close to 10 million people killed. We got that. So my biggest disappointment, but it's, you know, look, we did 7, and most of them were not thought to be settleable. We did India and we did Pakistan. That's 2 nuclear. That was purely for trade. You want to trade with us, you're going to have to get along. And they were going at it hot and heavy. But the Russia situation, I hope we're going to have some good news for you coming up.
Let's hear what he has to say.
Again, it doesn't affect the United States. And look, it doesn't so much affect you. Of course, you are a lot closer to the scene than we are. We have a whole ocean separating us. But I will say this, it's millions of people have died in that war, millions of souls. And they're not American, they're soldiers, mostly soldiers.
By the way, I voted for President Trump because he doesn't want
seen
war.
Since the Second World War.
He is peaceful.
But they're being killed, and I feel I have an obligation to get it settled for that reason. Thank you.
And just to add on that,
Okay, everybody listen very closely
we have to put extra pressure on
to what
Putin.
Starmer has to say now.
And it's only when the president has put pressure on Putin that he's actually shown any inclination to move. So we have to ramp that pressure up. I think it's important to have this conversation in the context of what's happened in recent weeks. We saw damage and bombing to the British Council in Kyiv. These are targets that it was thought until recently were not targets that would be hit. The British Council, the European Union Embassy, the Council of Ministers, where President Zelensky's ministers work was hit. Again, these were thought to be places that wouldn't be hit. And then the incursion into Poland last week. And if you put that together, what you can see is either an emboldenment or at least an increased recklessness on Putin's part. And that's why I said earlier that they're not the actions of someone who wants peace. So we have to ramp up. And we discussed earlier today, we have built the coalition of the willing with British leadership and French leadership, stepping up with military planning in the seas, in the sky, on the ground, and ramping up what we do with the Ukrainians themselves. And of course, that taken with an American guarantee is now an example, I think, of the challenge of Europe stepping up to the plate, which it has done in the last few months, to show through what we and the French have done that we're prepared to take the lead in this and take the necessary measures.
But that's a war that could have been a third world war, and I don't think we're going to be there now. But that was heading to a third world war. And what a shame it is. What a shame it is.
Mr. President, do you want to call some of the...
I would love to call a few of them. Bev, do you want to have a question?
GB News. Thank you. Having been in DC for a few weeks, it's really interesting to see how you run the country as a proud Christian leader. And it really begs the question to the Prime Minister, if you don't mind, are we still a Christian country? But also...
when you say we,
Are we Still a
Here or-
Christian
Here.
country.
The UK. I'm still British. I might
I'd
live in
rather have
America, I'm
him
still
answer that
British.
question.
But also,
I can't give you that answer.
that's for the Prime Minister, but also, despite what we talked about in Scotland a few weeks ago, we still have 12,000 people a year here being arrested for social media posts,
Yes.
free speech violations.
Listen to this.
Does that not remain an important area that there is still a lot of disagreement on?
I'd like to have you answer that.
Yeah, look, I mean, in terms of a Christian country, I was christened, so that is, my church has been all my life, and we are, that is wired into our informal constitution. Of course, we celebrate many other faiths as well, and I'm really proud that we're able to do so as a country. And on free speech, that has long lived in this country, free speech. It's one of the founding values of the United Kingdom, and we protect it jealously and fiercely, and always will, and we will bear down on any limits on free
Oh my
speech.
God, he's lying so
I
hard.
draw a limit between free speech and the speech of those that want to peddle paedophilia and suicide social media to children, and therefore I'm all for free speech. I'm also for protecting children from things that will harm them, paedophiles, those that peddle suicide, which has had a terrible consequence for individual, particularly teenagers. And so that's the balance we strike. But we have had freedom of speech in this country for a very long time, and we
But you
will
don't.
always protect it.
You're lying.
Thank you very much. Brian, please.
Thank you. Prime Minister, it's good to see you again. You have a beautiful country. Thanks for having us.
Thank you. for being
Two
here.
questions. One, just recently, President Trump labeled Antifa domestic terrorists. Would you consider doing something like that in your country?
Well, we obviously will take decisions for ourselves. I don't want to comment on the decisions of the president, but we take our decisions ourselves.
And my question to you, President Trump, is there any update on the auto pen?
Ooh.
Yeah, it's just gotten worse from their standpoint. The people that used it, and in particular one person, was never told by Biden to do it. Only spoke to Biden twice, and that was just talking about the weather, not talking about any order. And he was taking orders from people other than Joe Biden. Joe Biden wasn't giving those orders. You know, Joe Biden didn't believe in open borders. He didn't. I've known him for a long time. He was never the brightest bulb in the ceiling, as we know. You can go back 40 years ago and you'll see that. Go back and take a look at the hearings on Justice Thomas, and you'll see that very much. But he didn't believe in open borders and all of this nonsense that they're peddling now, which is why they're not in office any longer. It's a shame. The auto pen was illegal. It was illegally used. He never gave the orders. He never told them what to do. And I guess the only one he signed, or one of the few he signed, was the pardon for his son. But you had the congressman who, when they got the information, they found out they were guilty, and they deleted and destroyed all information, everything. You couldn't get any of it. They found out that Nancy Pelosi actually was offered the 10,000 soldiers, and she turned them down. They found out many things that were very bad. So they deleted and destroyed all information. You talk about freedom of the press and freedom of speech. How about that one? And there's not a thing. This is after a year and a half of hearings. They destroyed everything. And somebody's got to be held responsible. So Biden, what he did is they knew, I don't think he knew, but somebody knew. I don't think Biden had a clue about anything, if you want to know the truth. But they gave a pardon to those Congress people. They gave a pardon. Those people are so guilty. They gave a pardon. But Biden didn't know about it. The people, whether it's Lisa or any of those people in there that really ran it, I know them all. And they're sick people. They're smart people. They're very smart. They're probably brilliant, but they're sick in ideology. And they were running the auto pen. And it was totally illegal what he did. And I hope it's going to be so adjudged.
Do you want to take one more, then I'll
Okay.
go back to some British.
Let's see. Peter, go ahead.
Thank you, President Trump.
In the deal that you're working on for the Chinese to sell TikTok to an American buyer, are the Americans going to have to come up with their own algorithm, or are they going to continue to use the successful but addictive Chinese algorithm?
So what we're doing, and we're speaking to President Xi on Friday to see if we can finalize something on TikTok, because there is tremendous value, and I hate to give away value, but I like TikTok. It helped get me elected. In fact, Charlie said, "Sir, you ought to get on TikTok. You'd be great." I said, "Really? Tell me about TikTok." And we, as you know, we did unbelievably well with youth, like at a level that no Republican has ever even dreamt of. And in what, look, I think we won it for a lot of reasons, but that was a reason we won the election by such a big number. TikTok has tremendous value. The United States has that value in its hand because we're the ones that have to approve it. I specifically get the right to approve it. The people that are investing it are among the greatest investors in the world, the biggest, the richest, and they'll do a great job. And we're doing it in conjunction with China. But we are getting, the United States is getting a tremendous fee plus, I call it a fee plus, for just making the deal. And I don't want to throw that out the window. I can say this, that you'll have a lot of very unhappy youth. And I use TikTok very legitimately, very straight, just statements every day, little statements, short statements. "Sir, make it short, please." And TikTok Jack, we call him. It was pretty good. Did a good job for me, I guess. But no, I'd rather reap the benefits. I mean, the kind of money we're talking about is very substantial. And it'll be owned by all American investors and, the best investors and the, very rich people and companies are going to be owning it. Very, very straight, very legitimate companies, and really companies that love America. So they're going to be owning it. So it's a big thing. And on a much bigger scale, and probably that's why we were able to get that, but on a much bigger scale, we're pretty close to a deal. We may do an extension with China, but it's an extension based on the same terms that we have right now, which are pretty good terms.
And my question for Prime Minister Starmer, if you feel so strongly about officially recognizing Palestine for statehood, why are you waiting for President Trump to leave the country? Why can't you just do it right now? And isn't there a risk in rewarding Hamas with that?
Well, let me be really
Sure
clear about
is.
Hamas.
Good question.
They're a terrorist organisation who can have no part in any future governance in Palestine. And what happened on October the 7th was the worst attack since the Holocaust. We have extended family in Israel. I understand firsthand the psychological impact that had across Israel. So I know exactly where I stand in relation to Hamas. Hamas, of course, don't want a two-state solution. They don't want peace. They don't want the ceasefire. So I'm very clear where I stand on Hamas. Okay. On the question of recognition, I made my position clear at the end of July as to the timing, which has got nothing to do with this state visit, and I've discussed it with the President, as you would expect amongst two leaders who respect each other and like each other and want to bring about a better solution in the best way that we can. Thank you so much. Can I go back then to Robert at ITV?
Robert Person, ITV. Mr. President, you uniquely, you alone in the whole world, have the power to persuade Prime Minister Netanyahu to stop the demolition of Gaza City, to stop the starvation of Palestine, and to stop the killing of civilians. If not now, when will you exercise that power and tell him to stop?
Sure.
And then for both of you,
But you do understand about October 7th.
Of course,
You do understand.
So believe me, I understand.
One of the
about it.
worst days in the history of humanity. What happened, I have seen the tapes. Babies that are 4 months old, just chopped up to pieces. And you've seen the tapes, and I've seen the tapes. You're a professional, and so am I. And people forget about October 7th. I can't forget about it. So I want it to end, but I want the hostages back. I don't want the hostages used as human shields, which is what Hamas is threatening to do.
But as soon as they're back, that's the moment you will tell Netanyahu
Well,
to stop.
it would certainly help, but I have to have the hostages back. And I don't want them back piecemeal, as I said before. I want them back.
And on a separate issue, free speech, your Vice President, Vance, said that free speech is under attack in the UK. Do you agree with him and Prime Minister? We saw
Here we go.
dismissal of a very well-known chat show host in America last night, Mr. Kimmel. Is free speech more under attack in Britain or America?
Well, Jimmy Kimmel was fired because he had bad ratings more than anything else, and he said a horrible thing about a great gentleman known as Charlie Kirk. And Jimmy Kimmel is not a talented person. He had very bad ratings, and they should have fired him a long time ago. So, you can call that free speech or not. He was fired for lack of talent. Yeah, please, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, firstly, on the question of Charlie Kirk, can I just express how shocking that is, I think, to everybody who believes in free speech and in democracy. It sent shockwaves through the world, and I know that he was a friend of the president, and I reached out straight away to the president because I understood how impactful it would be on him and his family. And we all need to be absolutely clear about that. Whatever our political views, it is shocking and is to be condemned. On free speech, not much to add to the answer I gave earlier. This country's had free speech
You're a liar.
for a very, very long time.
And you
It
don't
is
anymore.
part of who we are as a country, and it is the values that we fought for. We fought for it during the Second World War alongside each other. So we need no reminding of the importance of free speech in this country. Thank you, Robert. And I go to Beth for the final question, please. Beth.
Thank you so much.
Sky.
Thank you, Beth Rigby, Sky News. Thank you,
flustered,
Prime Minister. If I could start with you. Prime Minister, President Trump has said he's ready to impose major sanctions on Russia if NATO countries stop purchasing Russian oil. He's got a point, hasn't he? Is that what you now believe is needed to bring Putin properly to the table? And what's your message to the President on US sanctions? And Mr. President, if I may, the King praised your personal commitment last night to finding solutions to the world's most intractable conflicts. You have invested much of your time and effort in Ukraine, but even as you seek to broker a deal, President Putin is escalating the war, he's firing drones into NATO airspace. You say he has let you down. Was it a mistake to invite him to Alaska? Do you regret it?
No.
And is it time to squeeze him, sir, and scare him and impose sanctions? And finally, if I may, the elephant in the room, Lord Mandelson, he is no longer the ambassador. Do you have some sympathy with him that he lost his job over historic links to Jeffrey Epstein? Thank you very much, sir.
I don't know him, actually. I had heard that, and I think maybe the Prime Minister would be better speaking of that. That was a choice that he made, and I don't know. What is your answer to that?
Well, I mean, it's very straightforward. Some information came to light last week which wasn't available when he was appointed, and I made a decision about it, and that's very clear. On the question of the pressure on Putin and on Russia, which is obviously really important. Look, I think it is a challenge to Europe. There are a number of European countries which are too reliant on energy from Russia. The UK actually, obviously, has almost got nothing at all, but we do need to bear in counterparts here. There are one or two countries, I think, that do need to look again at the question of energy. There's no one silver bullet here. We do have to have a wider suite of sanctions, which we've put in place a number of times, working across Europe and with the United States. And of course, we must, and we are, making sure that Ukraine is in the strongest position now, because one of my long concerns here has been that whilst we talk about a ceasefire, and we all want a ceasefire, and we talk about what might happen after a ceasefire, we mustn't forget that Ukraine needs our support now. We've said we stand with Ukraine from the start to finish, and that means we must continue to supply them with what they need in order to fight this war, which of course resulted from and is a result of Russian aggression. We have particularly done the sort of leadership role in the coalition of the willing, so that if there is a ceasefire and if there is a deal, and I do hope there is, that is then lasting and not then broken, because given previous history, I don't trust Putin. Thank you.
Very simply, if the price of oil comes down, Putin's going to drop out. He's going to have no choice. He's going to drop out of that war. And when I found out that the European nations were buying oil from Russia, And as you know, I'm very close to India. I'm very close to the Prime Minister of India. I spoke to him the other day, wished him a happy birthday. We have a very good relationship. He put out a beautiful statement too. We have, but I said, you know, I sanctioned them. China is paying a very large tariff right now to the United States, but I'm willing to do other things, but not when the people that I'm fighting for are buying oil from Russia. If the oil price comes down, very simply, Russia will settle. And the oil price is way down. You know, we got it way down. We're drilling and we produce more oil than anybody else in the world. We're doing a lot. But I was disappointed to see that. And the Prime Minister was disappointed to see that. And it wasn't him, it was other countries. And you can't do that. You can't do that. You can't, that's not playing fair with the United States. And we can't have that. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. And there they go. Wow, Keir Starmer had his feet held to the fire over free speech. I'm now going to prove what a liar Keir Starmer is. Here's an article that I found, and there's so many, but I just, I chose this one. It's an actual law firm that's talking about one of their clients. And I like the way that they've worded it. So I'm going to read it to you so you can hear. Oh, by the way, look, I've got a different hat on. I'm wearing this hat because it is explicitly against political violence and political shootings. This hat, I'll show it to you. This hat, I gotta turn the camera around so you can see, hang on. Okay, so this hat says Corey's Cruise. Do you know who Corey Compratore was? He was the man who actually was killed on July 13th, 2024. So every year they have a cruise for him, you know, where all the bikers get together. It is absolutely amazing. I was there for the first one. I participated. I met his wife, his widow, Helen. She is amazing. And so, you know, Corey was a victim of political assassination. And he was just sitting in the crowd. He very much supported President Trump, as did his entire family. He was there with his 2 daughters. And he died with his head in the lap of one of his daughters. So I think this is like the best hat to wear these days. I just got it, by the way. I was at a luncheon and Helen was there. And quit killing people over ideas and thoughts. Like, what are you doing? What are you teaching our kids? Does a husband and a father deserve to die simply because he wants our country to be great? Simply because he wants criminals to go to jail? What are you doing? All right, so I am going to read proof that Keir Starmer is not just a liar, but a dirty liar. Okay. Corey who? Corey Compratore. He was the man who was shot and killed the day that President Trump was shot in the ear. Oh. So that's who Corey is. Please don't forget his name. He was a hero. He was a real hero, actually. In his real life, he was a hero. He was the captain of the fire department. So he was a true hero. And his community mourns him. So sad. So sad. He did not deserve to die. Okay. So I'm reading this from winslowlawyers.com. Do you value your rights? If you do, please thank Sam Adams and others like him who rebelled against the reigning British government. And you heard Keir Starmer telling us all that free speech, we're all about it. They've never been about it, by the way. Sam Adams and his buddies rebelled against the reigning British government at the risk of treason to preserve what they believed were our human rights. Unfortunately, not everyone enjoys the same rights that we Americans do. And the United Kingdom has arrested a man for posting an illegally offensive tweet. So apparently there was a viral video where Hampshire officers confronted and arrested a UK man. One of the officers says, "Someone has been caused anxiety based on your social media posts, and that is why you're being arrested." I know I sound like an Aussie. But anyway, the post in question was reportedly an image mocking the many evolutions of the LGBT transgender pride flag by reshaping it into a swastika. According to the BBC, the man was arrested for malicious communications, while another man who recorded the incident was arrested for supposedly obstructing an arrest. He was, by the way. The Hampshire government attempts to explain what malicious communication is. The graphic notes that malicious communication relates to the sending of indecent, offensive, or threatening letters, electronic communication, or articles with the intent to cause the recipient distress or anxiety, and that it is a criminal offense which could result in prosecution and a criminal record. Fortunately, Hampshire Police and Crime Commissioner Donna Jones has condemned her own officers' actions. "I am concerned about both the proportionality and necessity of the police's response to this incident," she said. "When incidents on social media receive 2 visits from police officers, but burglaries and non-domestic break-ins don't always get a police response, something is wrong." Indeed. Hopefully, the man in question will not ultimately face any criminal consequences, given the intense public scrutiny of the police's actions in this case. But the fact that this arrest even occurred in the first place reminds us of why the First Amendment is so very important. The UK laws about malicious communication are clear infringements on free speech that would never for a moment stand in a country with free speech protections like the United States, where the First Amendment provides broad speech protections from the government. The UK's laws set the stage for this arrest and certainly have a chilling effect on free expression. After all, who knows what someone else might find offensive or what might make someone else anxious? As John Locke explained, individuals have rights to their persons and property, including the right to use one's person and property for communication. But nobody has a right to any particular emotional state. To enforce such a false right for some means violating the true rights of others, including the freedom of speech. In other words, if a man wearing a dress is angry with me because I call him sir, and he is clearly a man in a dress, he has no right to come after me for misgendering him, because I know a man when I see a man. I'm just saying, and I'm not causing any hatred toward that man or anything. I'm just looking at a man saying, okay, excuse me, sir, or whatever. And he has no right to infringe my free speech, to call it as I see it. That's free speech right there. I know California doesn't agree. I know California actually made a law against misgendering someone because California is a dictator state. Just saying. So you can say whatever you want about me. You can have your own opinions, and you are always, always, always have your own opinions. That's your right, okay? But when your right infringes on my right to speak my mind, free speech, I'm not trying to be violent against anybody. I just call it as I see it. That's all. Thank you, Marky. And if you don't like it, you're welcome to move on. You don't have to watch my show. You can leave. No one's holding your feet to the fire. I actually prefer that people on the show, if you don't agree with me, that's fine. But come with an open mind. Come with the thought of, you know what, this lady is old. If you're young, you do definitely think I'm very old. I am. I'm going to be 60. I think that's old. I'm old. I'm old. But I have a lot of wisdom. And I've been, bye, Ted. You also don't have to announce that you're leaving. It's okay. Nobody cares. Anyway. But, you know, I do think that there's a level of civility that we really all need to have. And I do hope that the younger people will watch this show and maybe try to learn something instead of immediately dismissing me because you think I don't agree with your morals and values, and maybe you're different than I am. And I don't think it's right for people to take drugs that will alter anything about them. Anything, really. You know, if you're taking, well, and especially this Lupron, this is such a problem. If you're on Lupron, can we talk about Lupron for a second? I mean, I don't even want to talk about the, what are they, SSRI intake inhibitors or whatever that stuff is, but just the Lupron. Can we talk about that? 60 is the new 30. Thank you. But can we talk about it? Because if you are on a drug like that, you might be scrambling your own brains. Thank you, Skyman. We are all Charlie. I don't take any medication whatsoever, Ray. Nothing. I don't need it. You know why? Because there's plenty of things in nature, and food is actually your best medication. And sometimes the best medication, the best food is no food at all. I love to fast. Fasting will change your life. You should try it out. You can go for 3 days, no food, just water, and you reset your gut microbiome. And it is amazing, and it feels fantastic. And it shows you that you can do anything. Fry, you think I have crazy eyes because I don't wear any makeup. So you're not used to seeing women with no makeup. But I don't wear makeup because I cry every day. I cry over a lot of things. And especially right now, this is going to be the 3rd anniversary since my husband died. So I cry over that a lot. I lost my little dog earlier this year, and I cry over that almost every day. I'm crying over Charlie Kirk. I'm crying over people like you, Fry, who look at me and you just get triggered and you just can't give me any grace, and you can't even look at me like I'm a person. I cry over that. I think it's really sad. But yeah, since Charlie Kirk was killed, I am so Charlie Kirk now. And it behooves me to stand up and talk about what I believe in, and to hope that someone like you, Fry, who just heard hate and never really understood what Charlie's mission was, but I'm gonna take up the microphone for Charlie, and then I try to talk to you too. Nobody hates you. You hate yourself. That's all it is. You know, when you hate yourself, it's very difficult for you to see the goodness in anybody else because you hate yourself. And I'm so sorry. You need to find love for yourself. You need to look at yourself like, you know, you're a child of God. And if you don't believe in God, then I suggest that you really do look inward and at least believe in yourself if you don't believe in God. You can look to yourself as your own kind of God if that's what you need to do, but love yourself, because it's the people who don't love themselves who are the ones who turn against everybody else and just show a bunch of, you know, ugliness and hate and stuff. So thank you guys. I love you all too. I love you all too. And I've been on this earth for, like I said, in November it'll be 60 years of playing this messed up game. Okay, so I have some wisdom just on that. I've lived in different countries. I actually left America. You know, you guys talk about being so angry you're gonna leave this country and all that. Well, I did it. I always put my money where my mouth is. Always. So if you want to trust somebody, I'm as good as anyone because I truly do love you. I truly want the best for you. I want the best for my country. I want the best for this world. I don't want to live in a world where people are hating on each other and shooting each other just because they don't agree. Come on. And also the drugs. We need to stop taking all those drugs. You know, you can't change your gender or whatever. You can't change it. So try to live with it. Be gay. There's no problem being gay, okay? There have been gay people since the beginning of time. So if you feel like you are attracted to the same sex, then just be gay. You don't have to medically change yourself in order to be that way. You love who you want to love. No one is going to stop you doing that. But don't take drugs for it. Don't be on hormones. I mean, think about it. Hormones. What do teenagers act like? They're crazy. And you know I love teenagers. I mean, I raised two of them all by myself. And believe me, it wasn't easy because teenagers are on crazy hormones. And to mess with that, with the puberty thing, it's insanity. Don't do it. Everybody's got to go through it. And every parent has to raise a teenager. And you just got to deal with it. It's part of life. You can't get around it. But when you try to get around normal things like puberty and hormones, then you're actually opening up a huge can of worms. And people who are really like affected by the hormone thing are going to be affected by the crazy speech that these people are spouting, and you know, and also trying to stop people from feeling pain or suffering and sorrow. It's part of life. You have to feel all the feelings. So don't drink the alcohol. Don't smoke the stuff in the vapes. It's not better than cigarettes. And I've done it all. I've done all of that stuff, okay? I'm no better than anybody else. I've done it all. And every day I try to be the best me I can be. And I try to be productive and to try to help other people. And that's what the Beach Report is about. It's what it's always been about. I've been doing this for 10 years. I have amazing followers who have been with me this whole time. So all you new people, welcome. I'm here to tear me down. I've gotten so much hate in the past 10 years that I am literally bulletproof. I am. So I've had it all happen to me. I'm just, you can't hurt me with anything because I don't care about anybody's opinion of me except for the Lord's. So that's what drives me to do the things I do, to say the things I am, and to be who I am. And if you don't like it, then you can leave. You don't need to leave nasty comments. You don't need to make fun of my hair or my teeth, but I do. My lipstick is way too dark. Like, what has happened here? I'm happy to admit when I make a mistake. The only makeup I ever wear is lipstick, by the way, anymore. Even that I'm questioning, but oh, it just makes me feel better. And you should do things that make you feel better. I'm not telling you, you don't wear makeup, you don't do whatever. You can color your hair. I don't care what you do. This is just me being myself. And there shouldn't be anything wrong with that. So I might not think like you. I might not look like you. But can we please just try to get along? Just a little bit. Just give me a little chance to win your heart. Because when you watch the Beach Report, and I know I'm up north this week, and you guys that don't know me don't realize the Beach Report is really about going to the beach. And we go to the beach pretty much every day, but we can't do that when I'm traveling. However, next week I'll be heading back down, and I will hit every single beach in my path. And I'm actually planning to go all the way down to the Florida Keys. Because on September 30th, my husband lost his battle with cancer. It was the same day that Hurricane Ian actually left town. He literally saved my life by being in a hospice during Hurricane Ian. And I don't know what I would have done if I hadn't been in that hospice, which was also a hurricane shelter. So my husband was dying. The hurricane was roaring outside. Fort Myers was being destroyed. People were coming into the hurricane shelter, AKA the hospice, saying things like, my house is gone. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I lost everything after Hurricane Ian. Everything being my husband. I lost a lot of material things too, but the thing I really lost was him, and that was everything. So I'm going on 3 years now, and 3 years for Fort Myers recovery from Hurricane Ian, which really does my heart good because I feel like we're kind of all in it together, those of us who were in Hurricane Ian, and some people lost people they didn't expect. I expected to lose Ray, but anyway, so I'm a little melancholy these days, and all I really want is for you to love each other. I don't know why Tyler wants me to be checked for a heart condition. I have a broken heart maybe. Actually, I don't have a broken heart. You know, I have a full heart. I have a full heart because I have a lot of love in my life and a lot of good people in my life. And a lot of you are on this show right now and you've been with me for many years, or you're a new follower. That gives me a lot of love. So I never think that, you know, someone thinks I look sick. Okay. You only think that because they don't wear makeup. That's why. You're used to women wearing makeup all the time, and I don't. So that might be why you think I look sick. But I can assure you I'm pretty healthy. I'm actually very healthy. And I'm gonna be 60, so yeah. Won't have a wait, what is this? You were about to come here and spew a bunch of hate because quite frankly, you just keep going on and on about something nobody asked for, yet won't have a conversation, but then I remembered. Okay, I don't know what that means, but go ahead. No, I just said I'm wearing lipstick. It's the only makeup that I wear, okay? That's all. That's all. I'm not looking for a husband or a man or anything, you know. I am still married to my husband, and I'm married to Jesus, and those are the only men that I need in my life. So don't come on here thinking that I'm some kind of a hoe. I'm not on OnlyFans. I think that's disgusting. I don't sell myself. I'm an author. I've written 2 books. I can show them to you. They are right in front of me. And I just published this book by Joshua Daniel Hayes. You can purchase these books on my website, jillbooks.com. And I wrote this book 10 years ago. This is about the way 9/11 changed our society. Look, I even won an award for it. So I do everything by myself, by the way. I self-publish, but I also publish other people. Because if you think you have a great book in you and you want to be published so badly, it's very difficult to get published without having to spend a lot of money. But look, I learned how to do it all by myself. Cost me as much money as it does to give the money to the companies, you know, so I'm your one-stop shop. I do everything, including designing the covers. I work with my writers. I've got a bunch of clients right now, so get ready. I have some really amazing books that are going to be coming out of my jillbooks.com company very soon, so get ready. October is going to be crunch time. I have to work so hard. But anyway, Do You Think About Me on My Birthday is my own story about my adoption. And I will be doing 2 book signings this week about that. One in Blairsville, Pennsylvania on Saturday, and again in Cranberry Township on Tuesday, the 23rd. But you do have to register, so. All right, you guys, so can we talk about how you say it should be okay for you to be you, but it's not okay for trans to be then, because it supports medical changes? Yes, we can absolutely talk about that. I can be me without any kind of medical intervention. And I think that if you need medical intervention in order to be yourself, then I think you're buying into something that's not good for you. Why would you want to be on drugs for the rest of your life? Don't you realize that somebody selling you a notion that you can't be yourself without medical intervention might mean that they don't have your best interests? Just saying, do you want to be on meds forever? Because you can't transition and then you're done. And then all of a sudden you're a woman or a man. It doesn't work that way. You have to take the drugs forever. So I'm just saying that if you feel that way, you can be that way, but don't medically change yourself. You can be however you want. If you want to wear a dress and whatever and be that way, I don't have any problem with you doing that. Just try not to do it to the point where you're putting yourself on a diet of pills and medicines and hormones forever. Why do you want? I'm just trying to. I had friends who have come to me and said, hey, I want to go to Ozempic. What do you think? Is that a good idea? And I'm like, no, it's a bad idea. It's a bad idea to take drugs to lose weight. That's horrible. The easiest thing you can do to lose weight is, I'm going to be crude. Here's what my Uncle Howdy used to say, may he rest in peace. He'd say, if you kept your mouth closed and your butthole open, you're going to lose weight. It's true. It's true. And sometimes it is what you eat and it's when you eat, and there's a whole science behind it. And it isn't calories in versus calories out, which I've learned the hard way. Believe me, I've been studying the whole eating thing forever. I was a teenager with a bad, like, I had bulimia. I was anorexic, all of it. And I grew up, when I'm in my 20s, I kicked all the bad habits that I had. And I've never gotten over it. Like, I'll get fat, I'll get thin, I'm yo-yo diet. Food is a problem. But the way that I do keep myself in check is fasting. I'm a kind of an all or nothing girl. And the body really does need a break from eating. So before you use drugs to lose weight, try fasting. Because it's kind of the same thing. You don't eat. And Ozempic makes you not want to eat. And Canadian, you're right, sugar is the devil. Stay away from sugar and carbs. Exactly. So I try different things. I love the keto diet. I think it's great. I don't think anybody should really do too much of anything. Try to moderate your diets and stuff like that. Try different things, trick your body. One day you will eat, all protein. Maybe the next day you won't. I don't know. I do crazy stuff like that all the time. And like I said, I'm going to be 60 and I feel pretty good. But the fasting is key. And I do suggest that you research it for yourself, because here's something else I don't want to tell you. We are all different. They love to talk about diversity and whatnot, but the fact is every single one of us is different. We have different blood types. We have different physiologies. We are all different. Men are different than women, and women are different from each other. We are all individuals. God designed you special in his image, and he gave you special gifts, and he made you so amazing. And you should embrace that of yourself. You need to know that your Heavenly Father made you for a purpose, and you're not just here to take up space, and you're not just here to be, what do they call it, useless feeder or whatever. You're here to do something with your life. So if you're just hiding in the basement, you're playing video games all day, you're not in the real world, maybe you're on a VR, virtual reality or whatever, you are not living in the real world. You need to do something that will make you feel better. Do something that will show you your value in the world. And I said it before, just go to a nursing home and talk to the old people. Just do something for your neighbor who broke their leg and maybe can't get out and go to the store. Say, hey, can I go to the store for you? I'm going, I'll pick you stuff up. Something to make you feel like a good person. Not words, but actions. Just actions. All right, you guys. Well, I do want to talk a little bit about, hey, if you don't want to hear me and you're going to call me a Karen, just leave. You don't have to show us how nasty you are. Because it hurts. Every time I see something like, this shut up Karen dude, you just make me feel so sad for you. That's how you talk to people. I know, Ingrid. I want to ignore them. But at the same time, I feel badly for them because there are people, you realize there are people who are on their computers and they don't know anything else and they think they can just say anything they want to people they don't even know. They can call people liars and they don't even know them. They can, somebody, you know, like I have this one lady, she comes on my show. I don't know where she is right now, but every time I'm on it, it seems like I'm holding up one of my books and I'm talking about it and she'll start like screaming in caps, liar, liar, liar. And I'm like, what am I lying about? Yes, I write books. Yes, I was a newspaper reporter with the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette for 18 years. Yes, I've done all of that. I've written for national magazines. I've written for television. I wrote for Nickelodeon television, actually. If you grew up in the late 80s and you watched a show called Don't Just Sit There, I was one of the writers. So I've been here, I've been there, done all this stuff. And yes, I am from the 83. Yes, Craftsman. Yes, Gen X. Anyway, you hopped off your PlayStation. Yay! That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Because I'll tell you what, those games, they are of the devil. They are literally designed to suck your time and suck your brain. And there's something else. Do you know, I learned this from a 10-year-old a few months ago. There's something called, she told me about Italian brain rot, which is where you watch these videos and they're meaningless. And they'll like put together animals like a lion's head and I don't know, a giraffe's butt, whatever, like, or a giraffe's neck, or whatever. Like they'll just mash all these animals together and then they'll speak gibberish. And sometimes it sounds like it's Italian, but it's not. It's called brain rot. And they use this on the children. When I say they, I'm talking about the people who create this kind of video. It's actually meant to ruin your mind. So if you see anything like this, don't even look at it because some people, they just get sucked in by it, especially young people. So if you see a youngster watching something that doesn't make sense and is really weird, get it away, take it away from them. It's no good. It's called brain rot and it is so dangerous. So there's also brain rot for adults. And I realized that when I saw a bunch of reels that will take something like, it looks like an apple, but it's made of glass. And then they take a knife and they cut through this glass apple. That's brain rot, showing you things that aren't real, total AI, total garbage, doesn't make you a better person. Just saying. You see that stuff, report it, get rid of it. So, anyway, yeah, Gracie doesn't like those games. Earl, why would you say go to sleep? Why would you talk that way to me? And apparently you're young, so you think I'm old. Like, I just have to wonder about you guys. There's no reason to be rude to me. None whatsoever. I'm not being rude to you. I'm just telling you what I think. And that's not being rude. It's called being honest. And I'm an honest person. I don't have any reason to lie to you whatsoever. Anyway, Claudine remembers Corey. Thank you. Thank you for that, Corey. So, Ingrid. Some of y'all just make me laugh. Anyway, all right, you guys, I got a lot of work to do and I've got a lot of books to send out because some of y'all have been buying my books and I appreciate it so, so very much. You know, I don't do this channel, this show to sell anything else but the things that I myself create. I've got books. I even have some t-shirts and book bags. I'm so shy about selling things though. I don't like to sell things. I'm a writer, you know, and I've always been a writer and that's what I do. So I'm more apt to sell you a book than a t-shirt or a beach bag, but I did make them and I did buy them and I do need to sell them. But anyway, I've got a couple of book signings coming up. So maybe my fans will buy those things. I don't know. It's difficult. But you know what? I don't worry about making money. I don't worry about getting rich because I'm just following the path that the Lord has set for me. And you should try it too. When you like listen to that small, still voice in your head that says, you should go online now and talk about boo, 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 or whatever, go to the beach. You know, like I listen to these things. I listen to them. Like I was told to go to a party last night. And the party had the most amazing history, stuff about the Civil War. Oh my gosh, you guys, I have got the greatest show planned for you about that. So check out my show from last night, which features a model railroad that was built starting in 1943 by a gentleman who had served in World War II, came back and just couldn't get the thoughts of Italy out of his mind. That was where he was serving actually during World War II. And he came home to Wexford, Pennsylvania, and immediately got to work making this model railroad. And every detail is like so thoughtful, and it's just the most amazing thing. Now, that's the kind of things you guys should be involved with. And if you like to do things with your hands instead of gaming, like make a model railroad, like make something with your hands that you can be proud of. So yeah, Marky was there last night, and we do love Charlie Kirk, and I am Charlie Kirk. But anyway, watch that show, watch that model railroad, and realize that yes, Dad started making it in 1943, but since then the entire family has participated in making it the most incredible model railroad that I've ever seen. So go check it out. All right, you guys, I'm gonna say ciao for now, and I will see you on the next Beach Report. Why would you ask if I love racism, Business Goose? Like, really, what's your problem? Such silly people. No, Marky, don't do that. All right, you guys, see you later. Ciao for now. Yeah, check out the railroad, it's super cool. All right, you guys, have a wonderful, wonderful day.